Coming up right now on Up at Noon, that Batman vs. Superman trailer might have revealed a little too much. Disney is scouring Hollywood for the next Han Solo, and Adult Swim has brought back our favorite samurai, Samurai Jack. All that and more right now on Up at Noon.
We're back. We did it again. Thank you to our house band, Cheeky Roberts and the Drumathons. They just banged out that hot solo at the beginning of this. Your voice sounded real high at that intro there. How are you doing there?
I'm okay. I was real sick. Recently with diseases. No, not really. I just had a cold. But it's always weird to do these. We do the Let's Plays. We record them in advance so that we have something to... Or we're sitting around getting our hair all mussed up and everything.
It's either that or run full speed across the office.
Yeah, I was feeling pretty dead yesterday, so it's weird to go from a Just Cause Let's Play where I can't pronounce the name of cheeses to a regular episode where I feel much better. So I'm glad to be here. Welcome to Up at Noon.
We're doing good today. How are you?
Brian Altano.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, what's up?
Welcome to our show.
If you're just tuning now for the first time ever, I keep skipping words. I think my brain's broken.
That's actually, there's a disease where people lose a word every sentence.
Called aphasia.
Is it really?
Our producer's here to tell us the names of actual disorders that we should not make fun of.
I just made that up, really? That's a real thing?
Okay.
There's his hand.
Yeah. Anyway, if you're watching us on something, there's other things you can watch us on. We go live on IGN.com and the various IGN apps on
if you're comfortable,
PS4, Xbox One, Roku. There's also IGN One, which is basically a nonstop IGN channel. It's just IGN.com/IGN1, number one. And if you, I don't know, if you're one of those people who likes to have background noise on when you're doing stuff and you just want, you know, a constant stream of IGN, both live content and pre-recorded stuff, it's on there. We're also on Twitch and on YouTube. If you'd like to tweet at us, we like Twitter a whole lot. It's a great place to find different pictures of horses and great deals on our favorite products. If you want us to see what you have to say about us, use the hashtag Up at Noon and we can, you know, Brian will pull it up there.
We'll make it work.
Today
Send me some horses, though. I do love those.
Today we're sponsored by Trash Glasses.
Yep. Making trash cool. So if you want to make your trash bags look cool, buy some trash glasses, put a huge, big glasses on there, and it'll look like real cool trash on the way to the garbage.
That's a real sponsor. That's a real product.
Yeah.
It's a real product.
We are not sponsored by anything real right now.
No, unfortunately.
So, until that happens, we're putting stuff on that image.
Yeah, so it's kind of sad announcement. We were going to have one of the developers from Just Cause 3 on today for an interview, but he got real sick. I think my emails carried my germs to him, and he was not able to be here. Just Cause 3 just came out. It's pretty fun, as you might have just seen. I got to use a grappling hook to kill a deer. We've got a bunch of copies to give away. We've got 3 regular copies for give that back. Sorry, 2 regular copies.
Our producer almost stole one.
We've got 3 copies for PS4, and we've got 2 regular copies and 1.
Did you call the Xbox One regular copies?
No, we've got 2 regular Xbox.
Fanboy!
One giant
biased fanboy!
One big huge one.
Beyond.
We're giving these away. All you have to do to win one. Oh, first of all, I have to say, this is US only. I'm sorry. It's we love everybody else, but it is very difficult to mail things from inside America outside of it. It's tricky.
If you do live outside of America, just take solace in the fact that right now you're probably not living in the same nightmare world.
Well, it's mostly because if you try to mail a picture of a man flying out of an explosion, they'll be like, "Good Lord, there's an explosion in the letter. Get it out of here." So anyway, US
that's actually what our
contest.
You know, those are what American stamps are going to look like in 2016. It's just dudes jumping out of explosions.
We were going so well. If you would like to win a copy of this, email us upatnoon@ign.com, and in 50 words or less, tell us the dumbest thing you did in 2015. In a video game or otherwise. Could be real life. One time I kicked myself in the junk, jumping into the back of a Jeep Cherokee while fleeing the scene of where I was launching a potato cannon. But that I couldn't enter because that was in 2007.
Was that in Just Cause?
No, that was in real life.
That was in real life?
Just Cause is a lot of fun. You can blow up a lot of stuff. You can do weird stuff. Explosions. Very, very good time. So, yeah, we'll plug the contest again. 50 words or less, dumbest thing you did in 2015, US only, up at noon at IGN.com. On to the show!
Let's do it!
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. We don't have a song for that.
Okay.
How are you doing, Max?
I'm okay. We always do this thing where we write the show.
Yeah.
Write, show. We plan stuff out ahead of time, and when we get up on Monday, and we're like, what's new and hot this week? And then something inevitably happens Thursday night, and we have to rearrange everything. This Thursday night, we got to see the latest trailer for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Are you sure that's what they called it? I thought the entire film leaked. Yeah, and it's 2 minutes long, and you can watch it in its entirety wherever you want.
Yeah, this was a... there was a lot that they showed in this trailer. They showed off way too much, I think.
I feel like this has been a really strong year for subtle movie trailers, right? For kind of, and we've talked about this in the past before about less is more. You and I are huge fans of the Force Awakens trailer. I didn't talk to you about this, but did you like the Civil War trailer last week?
I thought it was all right.
Yeah, pretty straightforward, but it didn't really show everything that you needed to see. This movie, just to get a little into the thickness here, on IGN, so one of the biggest properties of all time is Batman, and so is Superman. These two characters combined in a film is a traffic driver for the internet, period. There doesn't need to be shown or said much to get people excited about this film. I feel like the teaser we saw even just 2 days ago that showed Superman coming into that basement area.
And if you're avoiding this, we will turn off this trailer before it gets too spoilery.
Will
this
we?
is mostly stuff. Yes, we should.
Okay.
I think we should do that.
So that being said, I don't think you need to show a lot to get people excited. People are excited.
Yeah.
But instead, DC turned around and a completely ham-fisted move showed so much. And not only
like a Cliff Notes.
It was Cliff Notes. We saw the big bad guy, who I won't spoil. I mean, you've probably seen it by now. Yeah. But also, I feel that my main problem with this trailer was that it was tonally all over the place. Yeah. Right? It was jokey and then serious. And then it's collaborative, and then everything kind of fell apart. So where are we on this?
I was griping on Twitter about how, like, I saw everything. I feel like I've seen the whole movie. I've seen kind of all the big, plot points. And people are like, well, we know that Aquaman and Cyborg are in it. We haven't seen them. And it's like, that doesn't, I mean,
I forgot
that actually makes me worry, the fact that there's so much in this one trailer that we've seen. And like, you guys remember Spider-Man 3? You remember how that worked out?
Yeah.
Because that was like, you thought one villain was crazy. Well, guess what? We've got 3 villains, a whole bunch of them. And I feel like that really didn't work out so well. And the reason that like Marvel movies like that have a big ensemble cast work is because they've built up to it pretty slowly. But you look at like, I mean, the first Iron Man, like that was sort of like that was baby steps, It was like Iron Man is fighting just Ironmonger. Like it's just kind of like they kind of worked their way up. They were like, here's a throwaway villain. Let's start small and then build up to Thanos.
I also feel like, obviously it's in a completely different director's hands now, but the Nolan-verse version of Batman always prided itself on being somewhat grounded in reality, right? Even the villains that did get ridiculous and over the top were never too much. It was always something sort of tangible.
Sure.
And now we're veering into genetic science experiments on the dead, creating a super
Okay.
Why are we really dancing around this? I mean, this is everywhere. This is everywhere.
What's worth noting is that the Nolan movies, they came out, I mean, Batman Begins honestly is the least grounded of all of those.
Yeah.
But when that came out, that was extremely grounded by Batman standards because that was following hot on the tails of Batman and Robin.
Right.
The thing that happened between the two was the X-Men movies, which was kind of like, yeah, you can get kind of weird, but you still should, lose the spandex black leather, The Nolan movies were kind of a reaction to the goofy over-the-top stuff that had come before it.
Yeah.
But then, like, Avengers it's not spandex per se, but they're colorful, they're bright, and it's proven that can work. They're kind of silly, they're jokey, and I feel like the earlier stuff we've seen for this movie has seemed very overly serious, and that's why this trailer they're being like,
so that's exactly
Lex Luthor is a wacky, jokey guy.
And you and I are big old school Batman fans. I know we geek out a lot about the animated series, and I think what I liked about the animated series, and I'm sure you can agree, was that it was very tonally balanced. It was serious and stark and gritty, but also got kind of ridiculous. You had characters like Clayface, who was like this theater actor covered in mud that can turn into anything. You had monsters, you had cartoon characters. This movie looks like it's struggling between being tonally serious and being ridiculously over the top. And I just wanted to pick a side. If it goes in one direction or the other, I'm okay with that. It's having a hard time being both.
And for everybody who thinks that like it hasn't spoiled everything, I mean, what if it hadn't spoiled what it has? Think about that.
Right.
Anyway, what did you guys make of the trailer? Let us know on Twitter in the comments. Whatever. Moving on in things that adults should be talking about. We have a very special, I guess not really a guest because you work here now.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alana Pierce.
Hi.
Who is IGN's new toy and culture editor?
Yes.
What is that?
How is that a
How did you
thing?
get that job? Why didn't they give us that job?
Why are you sitting so
have
far
many
from
Why are
jobs.
you yelling at me?
That's what we do here.
Welcome to the show.
Apparently, I feel very welcome.
Hi, how are you?
A girl? How do we hit on
Use the
Just
hashtag
like a
up in here to
girl.
let us know how we talk to a girl.
Yeah.
Hey, Lana.
You're not doing great so far.
So yeah, you're going to be in charge of tackling toy and culture news.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
Everything to do with toys, like toys to life games, which are obviously huge right now, which I would also include amiibos, and then I see you have your Yoshis.
You don't even want to know how many of these things I have.
It's worth it.
I have all of them. That's the answer.
Literally every single amiibo?
I pumped the brakes on some of the Animal Crossing ones, but...
Why are these so dirty on their little bottoms?
They're made of yarn.
We live in a filthy world, Max.
Why did you just... Never mind. Anyway, so we've also got, Disney Infinity, and we've got Skylanders, and now Amiibo and Skylanders doing crossovers, so it just seems like there's no stopping the Toys to Life thing, which is directly integrated into games, and I'm kind of thinking that that's a gateway drug to collecting bigger stuff.
You are 100% right, because I actually took like a small break on buying toys for my desk. I got into Amiibo, I got back into Star Wars toys, and it just opened everything up. I actually went and bought like some of the more deluxe Nendoroid figures and stuff like that. You're 100% correct. It is a gateway drug.
We actually we saw a thing this year where I think toy sales are up for the first time above games since 2001 or something, 2005, which is exciting for toy nerds. Figured we'd talk to you. What's your favorite toy ever?
My favorite toy ever? I mean, I really like replica weapons and stuff like that. Really?
Really?
You don't?
I mean, they're cool.
I mean, like replica nerd weapons. Like,
Right.
like one of the ones that I have is a sideshow 1/6 scale Gears of War stun pistol, which lights up and it has like a little charger that you plug into it, and it's just like this massive. Oh no, it's not 1/6 scale. It's 2 scale. So it's like the right, and it's heavy, and it's just the coolest thing to have in my house. To be like,
So
yeah,
are we
I hang
gonna-
out with Marcus
Are we
Phoenix
gonna
in my
see
spare time.
more stuff like that on IGN?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, one of the big ones is the Sideshow are bringing out these beautiful replicas of all of the Halo plasma weapons. Not all of them, but there'll be some more than they've announced.
So
they're coming next year.
What is your path to getting here? Like, you weren't buying replica weapons as a child, were you? Were your parents okay with that?
I was born with that. No.
Because my mom was always just like, she didn't even want me having certain Nerf guns and stuff.
Right. No, I started with video game collector's editions.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was like, that's a game that I really like. It's coming with this cool toy. Wow, that's a thing. And then I sort of looked deeper into it and realized that all of the franchises that I love have statues, which I kind of see as like an extension of artwork. Like a statue is something that's made by an artist and then sculpted and then painted. So it's like, instead of buying a painting, I will buy a sculpture of something that I like. And it just sort of kept growing from there. But like I said, with Amiibo and Toys to Life stuff, which...
What are you doing? Don't do that.
What?
Which I just...
You made them... I saw what you did.
Dude, that's a game.
Don't cut to that shot.
Yarn Yoshi is a game where you can eat your friends and then crack them
that's
out
what's happening.
and use it as a weapon.
Get out of my...
Oh, because that's better.
It's so much better.
Nightmare thing.
I love how confused he looks.
This looks like
Hey,
a
you
PSA.
wanna wanga? So you just moved here from Australia.
I did.
Is there any major difference in the way toys are handled there? I know that certain video games don't make it over there. So are any sort of censorships that happen to toys there? Like,
No, not really, no.
do all the G.I. Joes come with teddy bears?
We don't really have G.I. Joe as much, actually. That's totally an American thing, yeah.
I never
I mean, we
saw
have
that.
G.I.
It's
Joe,
actually
but not
a real
as much.
American hero.
That's right. Do you have Australian heroes?
Steve Irwin.
That's the one.
He has dolls and stuff.
He has
yeah.
dolls.
Action figures of him. Yeah.
Did you have any of them?
No.
No. Yeah. 'cause
Always liked
that's
the
kinda boring.
geeky... national icon. He's boring. Wrestles crocodiles in his spare time. What do you do in your spare time?
I do the show. Thanks for joining us. So this is actually not my spare time. This is just my regular time. So what does toy culture look like in 2016? It's obviously a big part of it is now video games. But if somebody was to start getting into toys, where do they begin? Do they want to get something big like this, or something a little more deluxe, or do they want to start with something like an Amiibo? What's the entry point for?
I guess that's totally subjective, and everyone has their own taste. I know that a lot of people collect the Funko Pop vinyl figures.
Yeah.
I'm personally not a huge fan of those. I prefer stuff that's really elaborate and enormous and so big that I can't find anywhere to put it or ever feasibly move house because it'll break.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff that I like. But Funko Pop's a really easy thing to consume and also great presents.
They're easy to consume. They're great presents, but they're impossible to collect. I mean, to collect
There's too many
all
of them. No.
So that's the thing. It's kind of why I got into Amiibo, because I was like, all right, I can get the Smash Brothers set. It's gonna be like 4 characters or something like that. I can do that over the course of a year.
Yeah.
But Funkos, there's like thousands of them.
So many of them, but I think people can be specific with the franchises they love, and the appeal of there being so many of them would be that.
What are you doing?
I'm just sort of.
He's doing some
I'm
yoga.
just letting him do it,
He's doing some yoga.
Okay.
It's so gross.
I mean, and then you can collect action figures like this where you can make them do yoga if that's a thing that you're into. You can do yoga with your action figures.
Max and I talk a lot about Star Wars toys in the show, so we're really big on them. But you didn't really grow up with Star Wars, right?
No. Well, I mean, I saw Star Wars when I was a kid, but when I was too young to remember the Star War.
The Star War.
The Star War.
It's all true, you know.
But one thing that I am working on at the moment is there are a bunch of remote control Star Wars vehicles, and I think we're going to do a race.
Oh,
really? A video of us racing.
Are we putting a BB-8 in there?
The Kessel Run?
We could put BB-8 in there, but I feel like he'll lose.
Why?
He's not that fast.
No, he's actually pretty quick. You get him on a nice hardwood floor that you
I just love the way that he rotates when you try and get away from something, and he...
I know, and his head falls off.
You know what? I think that one actually might be like my favorite toy of this year.
So are you excited for Star Wars?
Yeah.
Really?
I feel like I'm more curious.
Okay, that's actually a good attitude to have. I feel like I've put this film on such astronomical levels that
That's a problem.
It'll probably undoubtedly disappoint me on some way.
Yes.
So Toy Coverage 2016, you are the face of toy coverage in IGN. We're so excited to have you. That is
Thank
like
you.
seriously like, what are you doing?
I'm so happy
amazed. That's
we're doing
incredible.
this little interview here because I get to just do weird.
We're doing a show.
It's really
Pay attention.
This is great for people who
It's
aren't listening.
highly
They just
relevant.
Get to watch,
Stop showing.
They get to watch Bib Fortuna doing real erotic stuff with this yarn Yoshi.
Is that erotic?
Welcome
Is that
to IGN.
that's your idea of erotic?
You tell me.
Damn it.
Glossing.
I think my mom has these pants.
Alana, welcome to IGN.
Thank you.
Congrats on becoming our new toy editor. That is a job I never even dreamed could be a thing when I was a kid. So it's really cool that we get to work together.
Let's
now.
make it a thing.
If you get extra toys, leave them on my desk and we'll pull them on the show and give them away on Twitter, or I'll just keep them for myself. Because screw you guys.
All toys that receive a review score lower than 6 out of 10 will be taken in the backyard and burned with fireworks.
Why don't
Thank you so much.
Do that to them.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, please.
You have fun with that.
Wait, no, don't go.
You have no idea what I have
You're
to
having
do.
a grand time.
If I just
no idea how
slide off
difficult
out of
this
here.
Alana, thank you so much for joining us.
That's
we will
okay.
definitely have you back for more toy stuff.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
gonna. I want to replace Max with you because you actually pay attention during this instead of playing with doing a yoke. Stupid man.
Okay.
What's next, Max?
So,
What do we got?
Star Wars is the hot jam we've been discussing.
Yeah.
We're both really hooked on Star Wars Battlefront. I rolled out of bed this morning, made coffee, and started playing it.
Me too.
I don't usually play games before work, but Battlefront definitely scratches that itch of like, hey, I'm just gonna pick it up and shoot stuff and put it back down again. We found out that more people are playing on PS4 than on PC and Xbox One combined.
That's right. There's a site called Player Stats Network. It's swbstats.com. Currently online players, PC 20,000, Xbox One 42,000, PS4 90,000. Total 154,000 people are playing right now concurrently. And it's a weird, it's kind of an interesting stat. Obviously, Battlefront partnered with PlayStation very specifically for a frontward-facing campaign. There was that's my Yoshi you threw him.
We're talking about Star Wars.
I'm not gonna throw your.
Yeah, because he's in the game.
You want me to put Wolverine on the floor? He's not in the film.
do that.
There we go. So obviously there was a Battlefront PS4 with Darth Vader on it and the awesome controller and stuff like that. And Microsoft was a little left out of this, so they tweeted out pictures of their controllers being like, pick a side, light side or dark side, but with no actual alignment to this game. But of course, this game's awesome. Max and I love it. A lot of people are really into it right now. A lot of people hate it because it says EA on the box, but get over it. This represents a very interesting turning point to me, specifically as a guy that A, doesn't play a lot of shooters, but B, that has spent the last 10 years, as I'm sure you have, watching the online shooter community live and breathe on PCs and Xbox. And that is moving. That is 100% moving.
Does this tell us about, like, we're both, like you said, we're both kind of not really multiplayer dudes, and we're playing on PS4, and it's like, is PS4 the mainstream casual console, and is this the kind of the casual shooter?
Yeah. I think it is, and I think we've talked about this in the past about how casual is not necessarily a bad word. I consider this game to be an arcade shooter. When you walk around, there are giant power-ups that you can pick up. There's hearts in the corner. Look at that thing. I mean, this is an arcade game, and that's okay. And so a lot of the sort of hardcore shooter community is coming into it with the perspective that it's not what they want it to be. And that's okay too. I think that it's all right to have all those different things. But there was a specific turning point in the last few years where PS4 became the lead console and Sony became the best-selling video game platform in the world. And the online first-person shooter market has moved directly onto PS4. And that's a kind of fascinating thing to watch because it reminds me that, as we've all learned in the history of the video game industry, no one really has allegiance to anything. We are very fickle, fair-weather gamers. You know, we will move from console to console. You may grow up a Nintendo guy or a Sony guy, but if all your friends move in one direction, you're kind of going with them.
Yeah.
And this could change at any given moment. I mean, a few years from now, Xbox 2 or whatever the hell they call it could come out. They could make a few moves that make everything change and make all the entire shooter community move over there. But for years, people played Call of Duty on Xbox, and now they're playing it on PS4, and they played Battlefield and Battlefront and stuff like that, and they're moving. All of these things are moving away from PC and Xbox One to PS4. And why that's important is because for something like this, when you jump on in the morning, where historically there isn't a lot of people, you can connect in a match within seconds. And I'm reading people playing on PC and even Xbox One who are having kind of a struggle connecting with a match, whereas you can jump in 30 seconds, play a game, drink your coffee, kill a bunch of people, die a lot, because that's how this works, and then head off to work.
Yeah. So on the subject of Battlefront, the heroes, big part of it.
Yeah.
Like to play as Boba Fett, like to play as Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader. I've actually been playing the, what is it? Is it Hero Battle? Is that the one where it's each side has the 3 heroes and then you get kind of stuck being the hero versus villain, heroes and villains? Heroes and villains. That's it.
Yeah.
I was totally kind of whatever about them when they were pickups in like larger modes.
Yeah.
And then I'm totally hooked on this because it's kind of always this excitement of like, who am I going to be next?
Yeah.
And it's so cool because like Princess Leia and Palpatine, they spawn like guards.
Yeah.
Like Leia's got her commandos and the Emperor has shock troopers. And I think that's the coolest way to handle that because those characters kind of in themselves aren't really that like flashy. But then to bring out like, oh, guess what? The next 2 people who have to respawn get to be one of your backup dudes.
I've been thinking about that. Like you see Leia fire a blaster a couple times in the Star Wars trilogy, the original. But you don't ever really see Palpatine kind of like out there doing field work.
Palpatine is effing hilarious running around.
He really is.
He's like, hey.
Especially with like controlling him in third person, you just see this like kind of this character shrugging through the forest. I was just playing this morning and Palpatine showed up and he's just yelling and shooting lightning bolts at everybody.
He does that terrifying little somersault thing.
But we got news that along with all the DLC that's coming, including the Battle of Jakku stuff, which did you jump into yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I couldn't find a game.
Yeah, it's really fun. Yeah. Well, there goes our last argument. But we had a question from Stu Ritchie on Twitter. That's at StuLFC for life. Asked, which heroes do we want in Star Wars Battlefront? We know 4 of them are coming, probably just for starters. I think a lot more are coming.
Yeah. How do you top Boba Fett?
I mean, that's really hard, right?
Boba Fett is fun as hell.
Dude, I love Boba Fett. You really, really love Boba Fett. Being able to like fly to areas in that game that you couldn't even dream of.
That's awesome.
Shooting rockets and flamethrowers and stuff like that. And you hearing his voice crackle over his microphone.
That's not his voice.
Cool. Well, you know what I mean.
That's Tamira Morrison's voice.
You know what I mean?
David Prowse is the voice of Boba Fett.
Shut up.
Actually, what am I saying? David Prowse.
Such a
Jeremy Bullock.
Big jerk.
But yeah, what do we want? Lando?
Yeah?
I think Lando.
Okay.
I don't know what Lando would do. If we're thinking in terms of game mechanics, what do you do? Because we've got a bunch of humans, we got a guy with cool armor, we got a couple Jedi, we've got some Sith users, whatever. What next, you know?
Yeah.
Like, do you have R2-D2 in there? How does he work? Like, what... Mechanically, I don't think it works to have another human in there.
Well, yeah, and it's also, like, visually, I think it's kind of distracting to see, like, 30 guys shooting at R2-D2. Like, blowing him up.
Pretty funny, though.
Or he's like, what? Lightning bolts are shooting out everywhere. That can be really... Actually, I kind of like the idea of that, or maybe moving them away from...
I mean, Chewie.
Yeah, Chewie's an obvious pick. Because he's, he works for the original trilogy and the prequels and The Force Awakens. Chewie is 200-something years old. I do want to see Kylo Ren. We don't know a lot about that character yet, and I think it's too soon to kind of like just throw that guy out there and watch him get shot up by a bunch of like kind of rebels. It just looks weird.
I'm cool waiting on Force Awakens stuff until we have like a full-blown suite of Force Awakens stuff.
Right.
That means like new troopers and everything. That's good. Oh man, maybe Greedo, like maybe Greedo does something because it's like he's visually different enough, but you're like, you goofy man.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to have somebody like Greedo. The thing that gets tough is that you see him fighting Han Solo in the hero battle, but I think that's where your suspension of disbelief kind of drops for a moment, and you look at the hero battle as this kind of big mixtape, toy box, as we've been talking about. But it gets a little crazy when you start thinking about characters from The Force Awakens fighting rebels who are in original trilogy garb, and then there's stormtroopers who aren't First Order stormtroopers. Yeah. So, I mean, I do want to see...
That's not canon.
It's not canon. And I want to see Finn and Rey and stuff like that, but I think you're right. Greedo, Chewbacca... Dengar. Yeah, any of the bounty hunters would be a great pick right now. So yeah, that's really cool. Let us know who you think should be a hero in Star Wars Battlefront. If you're still playing it, if you're not, I checked my clock today on that game. I am 30 hours in. I've spent 30 hours playing this game.
Yeah, but Brian, the game's a ripoff.
Oh, that's right.
You don't get your money's worth.
It has no content. What have I been doing?
Yeah, you spent 30 hours having fun. Still a ripoff.
I guess I got ripped off.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that another time. I really want to dig into that one day.
We got any things from people watching our fine show at home?
Yeah, everybody's doing really good. Everyone says that I'm more handsome than you this week for the 15th week in a row.
Oh, you should adjust. You're probably watching in 480p and your computer's broken. You should check your VGA cables or something.
Yep.
Monitor's flipped.
David Giltenon says, ultimately, the Batman vs Superman trailer feels more like a YouTube parody video than an actual movie trailer. I kind of get that.
I really want to, like, one thing I hate about the trailer is it's got that music. It's got that really kind of droning, like,
yeah.
And I want it to keep going. And I want them to just keep doing more stuff where they're just, like, sort of mad at each other. Like, you just get Batman and Superman and they're like in Subway. And Batman's like, I want to get pepperoncinis, and Superman's like, you like pepperoncinis, and it's like, brum, 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 brum. And they like look at each other all angrily.
Yep. Roman S said, I had zero interest in the movie until today. I hate Snyder, and maybe it showed too much, but I'm in now.
I can see that.
Yeah, so that moved him over. Interesting. I think a lot of people who were kind of fence sitting on this one jumped off after yesterday, but yeah, if you loved it, let us know. I don't want to just turn this into this whole soliloquy of negativity.
Yeah. I'm very torn on Snyder. Like, I think that he's visually incredible. Like, I don't think he's a visionary director. I think he's good with visuals, but he usually works well in short form. His trailers can be really good. He also hasn't done anything really funny since Dawn of the Dead, which I still think holds up really well.
I always forget he made that.
Probably because that was written by James Gunn.
Yeah.
Who went on to direct Guardians, so it's kind of fitting.
Yeah, I mean, awesome movie. That's probably my favorite of his movies, too.
Yeah, totally.
It is interesting that Snyder's worked on all these comic book movies, and none of them have really knocked it out the park.
Nope.
But he still keeps getting them because, like, he does make things that are visually gorgeous, but sometimes that's not enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, more movies are coming out, including Star Wars.
What?
The one we know about. But there's also a one that not a lot of people are talking about, which is the Han Solo film. Obviously, it's going to be a prequel story, which kind of sucks. I would rather see like the stuff that's happened between Jedi and now. But I gotta say, when we first heard about new Star Wars movies coming, I was more excited and enticed by the idea of future Star Wars films. But we must go into the past multiple times. Once for Rogue One to find out how those boys got that piece of paper that said how to blow up a Death Star, and number 2 for the Han Solo film, or Han Solo High School, or High School Solo. 2,500 people have auditioned for the role of young Harrison Ford in this film.
Are they just counting people who've done Han Solo impressions in the last month?
They went on YouTube and just
I auditioned for Han Solo.
Yeah, we did like
10 minutes. Don't eat that. You're gonna get sick.
The bear took a big poop in the back of the space car.
Wookiees can't eat chocolate. They get real sick. It messes up their insides.
So 2,500 people. I don't even know how that casting call looks. That seems like a month long, just a line. You ever see like there was like the like Aziz Ansari's new show has a bit with a casting call on it where he shows up. There's a couple people auditioning for the same role. And it's 2 or 3 guys in a hallway. And this is like a trope on TV a lot. But I like the idea of like 2,500 people in the hallway being like, "Oh, how'd it go in there, Chewie?" And they're all just yelling at the same time, wearing vests, and their hair looks cool.
We're gonna have company. Yeah, but I think casting's really interesting. A lot of people have talked about obviously the casting of Chris Pratt as Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of cool with that, but I would be really bugged if he showed up as Han Solo for one very specific reason.
What?
I want to see him play Dash Rendar from Shadows of the Empire. Let's take a look at this. You guys might remember Dash Rendar from Shadows of the Empire, the Super Nintendo game, the comic, the book, the action figure with inexplicable weird thing you put on his back, Greg and Tim Hildebrandt trading cards. Look at him. He's perfect for it. And the whole thing is that Dash Rendar is basically supposed to be like a cooler, sassier Han Solo. I'm totally okay with Han being cast as this new guy, and if they're gonna resurrect Dash Rendar from the graveyard of the expanded universe and throw him on the big screen, I think Chris Pratt could knock it out of the park, even if it's just for like 5 minutes in whatever movie they put him in. I want to see that. I think it works too perfectly. I mean, he basically played him in playing Star-Lord.
Yeah, and I think it's a very interesting, the whole story of Shadows of the Empire, as you and I know, but I don't know if our audience does, is obviously it was an N64 game, but that story was treated like a Star Wars movie launch that had everything but a Star Wars movie in it. There was a comic, there was merchandise. You and I have both have figures. They created a ship for him, the Outrunner.
Yeah.
And it was all in lieu of the fact that Han Solo was in carbonite between Empire and Jedi, and they needed Han Solo.
Somebody to make fun of Luke.
Yeah.
For that one non-existent movie.
Yeah, which is great. And when we got the N64 game out of it, very beloved. A lot of people remember that game more fondly than it actually is. That's okay. We can keep it there. I think that's where Star Wars games are okay to sit.
I recently reread the comic, which is not a good comic. It makes a lot of sense if you've read the novel. The novel's all right. It's fun. It's a goofy Star Wars book. The novel or the comic is basically acting like you've read the novel and you've played the game, and they're all the pieces kind of like make sense when you have them together. But if you do them piecemeal, kind of out there. That said, if you want some goofy, totally non-canon Star Wars expanded universe, definitely grab that Shadows of the Empire book. And give that a shot.
So that doesn't exactly solve the problem for who they should cast as Han Solo. A lot of people up for the role right now, but if you have a good suggestion, let us know. We'll forward it over to our good friends at the Han Solo casting call. We have no idea where that is. Honestly, no clue whatsoever. Anyway, we have some sad news this week. A very difficult game has returned to punish me, and it's called Bloodborne. Last week we got new DLC, it's the Old Hunters, and we are going to try a challenge where I can try to last as long as possible in that game without dying, and it gets real ugly real fast. So let's take a look at the Up at Noon Challenge.
Hey everybody, Max and Brian here for Up at Noon. It's the Up at Noon Challenge. If you've been paying attention, the Bloodborne Old Hunters DLC came out last week. It's a real tough guy game. It's an expansion for an existing tough guy game. Brian, you think you're a tough guy, huh?
I really like Bloodborne. It might be my game of the year. This is my first time playing the DLC. I'm kind of creeping in through this nightmare world.
Now, what level are you in your file?
I think I'm 75.
Okay, that's pretty good. It's from what I've understood, it's suggested that people playing this are level 90. Is that kind of the idea? Like they're pretty much like.
Oh, come on! I didn't even start.
Yeah, this is for people.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna run. That's what we're gonna do.
We're just gonna run
as far as we can.
Okay. And you know the layout, sort of.
Well,
right? Is it different?
Kind of new.
Okay.
It's been a while. I don't know what the hell was. Oh!
There's a scary dog.
Oh my God! Nightmare dog. Oh, there's nothing.
This is fitting because it's like an actual nightmare. Like you don't know what's going on.
Dude! Oh, my run's out.
Yetis!
I ran out of run. How do I get? No.
Jump over that fence.
What the? This is the worst.
This is great.
What am I doing in here? Look at this. This weird old pasta world that I'm running around.
Oh, it's like your worst nightmare. Bad spaghetti.
Spaghetti Nightmare Factory. Okay, everyone is sad and no one is happy and everyone wants to.
I'm surprised there's not more blood everywhere.
I haven't really been stabbed or anything yet.
No, but I mean, I just feel like there'd probably be more blood. I guess that would make it look too much like spaghetti.
Man, there was a lot going on there. All right, we got these old photos.
Oh, good lord. This game is so awful.
It really is.
So awful.
But I love it. I love it so much. All right, so I gotta say, I'm doing pretty good so far. I haven't died yet. Haven't used any healing agents.
Oh, that's really frightening.
Okay, this guy. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
So you're just trying to stay alive for 5 minutes? Is this sort of the idea?
Hi, man. What's up? How are you? Oh! Oh! Oh no! 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 Oh, I keep going back in this hole with these old bird corpses. It's just a real wet, dirty, gross world. Okay. All right. So I think I'm good. Okay, bro. He's back. Okay. All right. You don't have to shoot me.
I love when you talk about this game.
Oh, man. You haven't even seen some of the old. What the? Oh, I'm sorry. I woke you up. You haven't even seen some of the old mares they have in this game. They have like an old horse corpse covered in hair with like strings.
This is so good. This is like what your brain probably looks like on bad days.
I took care of that guy pretty easily. Hey man, how you doing? You working on this dude over here? Kill you in front of your friend, your wife.
What a stupid hat.
Oh no! Get away from me! That's not a working door. Okay, all right. You just hang out with your friends over there.
I think we're at a point where doors in games need to either work or not be there.
Oh no! Oh, what are you doing down there in this?
Why would you go in there?
Okay, all right. I'm gonna let him hang out with that man. I'm gonna go up the hill. Bring another nightmare boy. Hate you in your face. Get out of my way. You're old. Okay, all right. What the? Are you kidding me?
What are these boys doing? This is a door?
Hi, can I get? Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. Oh! Whoa!
What is that?
Get away from me! No! What the?
Is that Hagrid? Harry Potter? That was really scary. I never seen that when they get to the boss in the game. It's a real scary boy. So you're not good at the game. You're not great at the game.
You got to play this game at your own pace.
You got a noble dress.
Shut up. Get us
You
out
could
of
dress
here.
up and go to a nice debutante ball.
I'm all clammy. And
That was a scary man behind that big door. Do you think he was trying to leave, or he was just waiting for you?
I want to go back into a happy place in my life.
All right, you want to go back to Up at Noon?
Yeah, let's go back to this. Let's do this.
Okay.
What was that?
You did okay.
The
You did all right. It's okay.
The dogs chased me into the man, and then the man chased me into the big boy.
It's okay. It's over. It's all good.
But the ball was on fire.
The spaghetti was
The
all
ball-
very
the
bad.
hairy spaghetti ball was on fire, and they threw it down the stairwell, and then that big man hit me in front of the lamp.
There was all these evil magicians with big swords. Very bad.
Man.
All right, it's okay. It's all good. You're gonna be all right. We're gonna go back to Up and Noon now. Thank you for watching.
So, huge fan of Bloodborne. It's really not. It's
Really?
not
Because
like
you're bad at it.
It's not like riding a bicycle. I'll say that. I got to like level 75 in that game. I used to be awesome at it. I went away for a few months and played a bunch of other things. I came back. That is a traumatizing experience. I can see why you haven't played that game yet.
Everything in that game looks like a mop. It's really scary.
Have you seen Vicar Amelia? She's one of the bosses in that game.
Is she the one who looks like a mop?
Yeah.
Then
Oh, big
I've
wet
seen
mop. Back to the conversation we were having earlier about Han Solo. Cosmo Kramer on IGN1 here on IGN says that Chris Pratt can't play Han Solo because Chris Pratt is older now than Harrison Ford was in A New Hope. I think a lot of people don't realize how young the actors and actresses were in that film.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, everyone's lifespan is increasing. You know?
Yeah.
You ever see that billboard that's like, the first person to live to 200 is probably alive right now? You're like, nice try, billboard. Not if I can help it.
Is that a billboard?
That's a billboard that I saw one time.
Anyway, we're doing something very special this week. We're starting off a new quick segment that I literally just invented called the Up at Noon Fan of the Week. And the very first Up at Noon Fan of the Week, one of my favorite people in the world who's been following us for years and just super supportive, William Holbert. I know you're watching right now. I want to say thank you so much for being so awesome to us. That's W. Holbert on Twitter. He's a 68-year-old retired police officer with a wife of 46 years, one daughter, 2 grandkids, 1 great-grandson, 1 dog, and 3 cats. He loves console video
we got him
games.
up here.
We got him right here.
We're doxing a retired police officer.
No, we're not. Be nice.
No.
He tweeted us talking about how he has...
That warms my heart that someone who apparently is so functional and grounded would watch us just screwing up our madcap capers every darn week.
Did your father ever play video games with you?
No.
Okay,
So he wasn't around until I was 20, so no.
So did he play 20-year-old video games with you? My dad helped me set up my NES in 1986, and he fought Glass Joe. We plugged in Punch-Out, and he got up to the first guy, got knocked out. Me and my brother made fun of him. He never played another video game again. That was his entire career. He played some pinball stuff.
That's a pretty good career, though.
Yeah, it's really cool to see somebody a little older than my dad, hardcore gamer. He's got a Fallout 4 wallpaper. He's got a shelf full of toys. So, William, thank you so much. We will do everything we can to throw all the positivity your way the same way you have for us.
William also suggested a Star Wars Battlefront hero that I would totally be behind. He said Jar Jar Binks. And please don't ban him. We won't ban you. I actually love that idea. I think that would be, like, one of my biggest issues with Battlefront is that it's not silly at all.
Yep.
If they threw in a hyper-realistic Jar Jar Binks that was just crazy overpowered, that would be, like, all the silly I want in that game.
You know, I was thinking about that this morning because that feels like one of those things that one of the guys in the dev team would like, he'd stay late drinking a few nights and just be like, all right, so I know everyone's going to say no to this, but I have to show you this. And all of a sudden he's like, me so stupid.
So yeah, developers totally do that kind of weird stuff. I got to go to a preview event for Assassin's Creed 3, and they were using kind of like early builds of the game.
Yeah.
And there's a whole thing where you go into the debug menu on a lot of like console games, and they usually have some kind of weird thing you do with your hands to like pull it up. In this case, if you jam down on both the sticks on a 360, it would go into debug mode. But it was basically like no clip / fly mode.
Yeah.
And so Connor just starts, like he tucks his knees up and he starts flapping his arms like a big bird. And if you try to sprint, he doesn't like go on the ground. He just goes up in the air and he cuts through all the trees and everything. And like the PR guy was like, please stop doing that. Turn that off right now. But
That's
it's like
awesome.
somebody took the time to like assign that animation.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff.
Do you know that game NES Remix? It's like a series of games. It's basically like,
Yeah.
it takes old Nintendo games and remixes them. That was created the same way. It was basically a insider fan project made by people working at Nintendo at the time who just decided to stay late and
That's so
kept
cool.
it going.
I love that kind of stuff.
Anyway, we're big fans of comedy here at Up at Noon. One of our favorites of all time, obviously, Dave Chappelle. I think Dave Chappelle, brilliant guy, very smart for disappearing for a little while when things got a little too crazy, left on top, created the current market in which I think that most comedy on television lives, especially on Comedy Central. Comedy is in a very tough place right now because you can't workshop anything anywhere without somebody pulling out their phone and filming you and leaking it to Twitter or YouTube or Twitch or anywhere and basically ruining your bit as you're coming up with it on the fly. So Dave Chappelle has partnered with a tech startup called Yonder to create a sleeve that you put your phone into when you enter a club or whatever physical space is aligned for this event, where you can't access your phone. It's actually shut down and closed off until the event is over.
No, let's take a look at this thing. I got the website up here. I was like kind of torn, like how does this thing work? I'm guessing, like, basically, here's a picture of what the venue looks like. I thought this was the actual case, and like, we've got these nano machines that'll ruin your phone and fry all your data, which is here. No, you see right here, it's just a case, you slide your phone in, it locks, and then I guess it's kind of, there's probably some GPS thing where you walk outside to, you know, call your friends or stand near people smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, you get out there to the phone zone. Now, obviously, this seems like a problem that's almost impossible to solve for, right? I mean, there's Apple Watches, there's all these other devices. Even if they block your phone, you might have another phone. You might have some sort of camera on you. Google Glass. There's so many different ways to do this. But I think it's interesting to get to that we've reached a point of saturation on our phones that we are creating places that are void from them. It's very fascinating to watch us become so dependent and reliant on something and then also figure out ways to kind of move away from that. I think attention spans in general have kind of decreased since phones became so prevalent everywhere. Yeah. So it's interesting to see something like this happen. I don't know where else this would work. I know it makes sense for comedians and stuff like that, but I think musicians can.
Musicians, I would love to see it just for movie theaters. I think it'd be really cool if they did something in movie theaters where some way to disable your phone.
Right.
Like, you've heard about that where there's areas where they just try to, like, they block out signals or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would
like
really.
An EMP?
I don't know who uses their phone during a movie. Like, I don't, like, who are you?
There's a word for it. I can't say it.
Right. We can't say it, but it's like,
it's a bad word.
Just don't do it. Just turn them off. It's great because you're in this room with something that isn't real life, and you don't have to look at your phone for 2.5 hours. I don't know if there's some sleeve in the.
I think that's a great idea.
Really cool.
How long do you think before we see something like this at Comic-Con? Because I know we talked about the Batman vs Superman trailer before, but for the longest time, the only version of the Batman vs Superman trailer we had was leaked from Hall H that somebody pulled out their phone and filmed, and that's all we had to go with.
I mean, that's a huge land grab for these guys. But the way you got to motivate people to do it is be like, hey, take one of these and you get a free poster you can't get any other way.
That's really smart.
Turn your phone off.
That's really smart. I like that a lot. Okay, so we have some sad news for the holidays. A lot of you are very excited about the holidays. Holidays means gorging yourself on lots of bad and good food. One of my favorites, regardless of the holiday, is when peanut butter come together and have delicious sex.
Yeah, the Reese's
in my mouth.
The Reese's peanut butter cup is an old standby of the candy variety. Why do they let you talk?
No one told me no. No one said no. My producer just laughed.
They don't have sex.
Anyway. Reese's does this very fun seasonal thing where they put out shapes depending on the holiday, whether it's Easter,
a heart for Valentine's Day, or a pumpkin. For
Halloween, right?
And for Christmas, they put out a little Christmas tree. But there's one problem: they don't really look like trees.
That's right. Instead, it looks like a rat's turd.
I think it's too large for a rat.
Reese's Pieces, damn you.
Yeah. So then there's a few people on Twitter who are just like,
nailed it.
This one I love. I like this one because in addition to it looking like a turd, it's looking like a turd that somebody beat up.
I like the 3 question marks.
Also, like,
that looks like a puzzle.
I love that Reese's responded to this and they're like, "This isn't the perfect experience we hoped for, Crystal. Please send us a note so we can help." And then of course this one, like, this guy's angry. This isn't you've ruined Christmas. This looks like a poop, not a tree.
Does this look like a Christmas tree to you?
No, people, like, honestly,
I'm Bucky Keene.
People are probably like, why are you talking about this on a video game website? Well, this is part of our culture. We live on the internet now. We all have phones in our pockets, and there's this weird thing where on social media, corporations have to take on the appearance of being human.
Yeah, it's very hard.
How do you cope with this without being like, I'm sorry, Crystal, I never meant it to be this way? Well, Reese's handled it really, really well. and they did this. They said that they celebrate trees of all shapes and sizes, and that it's not what it looks like, it's what it tastes like.
You know, originally this said hashtag all trees are turds.
I like that these trees actually look even more like turds than the ones that people were sharing. These look like the poop emoji.
I think they went down to the factory and they're like, give me the turdiest trees you have. This is obviously another in a series of holiday-themed events where no one's actually mad at anything, but people are mad at the idea that other people might be mad at something, like those Starbucks cups. The reality is we all have bigger things to worry about, so it's good to laugh about some turd trees every now and then, and eat them because peanut butter and chocolate are delicious, even when it looks like poop.
Merry Christmas. Okay, so big piece of news this week. We got word that Adult Swim was bringing back the Cartoon Network show Samurai Jack.
Yes.
The badass Gendy Tartakovsky.
Hell yeah.
What do you call that? Like a post-anime? Like it was very clearly heavily influenced by Japanese animation, but you know, American cartoon. Man, this is a great show.
It really was.
I think it's really cool that Adult Swim is bringing it back. I hope that means that it's a little bit grislier, because if you got a guy with a sword and you can't show him cutting people, that kind of poses some problems. Like he always has to fight robots or whatever. We don't know a whole lot about this. There was sort of a brief little teaser where you see what is it, Aku, and here's Samurai Jack doing some stuff. This is of course the old school show. The art direction of the show was just off the chain. Like
I always really appreciated the sort of like paper cut feel of everything.
Yeah.
Like the kind of weight to that. It was so much different than anything else at the time, and I think you nailed it in terms of its influences versus kind of where it sits in the pantheon of other contemporary cartoons in the same way. This is like one of those times where it felt cool to watch cartoons. Like no one really questioned you as an adult if you were watching something like this, because it just looks so visually striking and badass.
Yeah, I mean, Samurai Jack never took itself too seriously, but it did have a chance to actually world build and do some interesting stuff. Dying to see what they do with this. I don't know if you guys ever caught this, but the Gendy Tartakovsky Clone Wars shorts, the ones that came out before the Clone Wars ongoing TV series,
Right.
Probably
Gorgeous.
some of the best Star Wars not movies ever made.
Is that stuff canon?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I'm not
I know
sure.
a lot of the Clone Wars stuff is. I don't know if that is.
A lot of the stuff that was established in those did actually lead to stuff in the movies. Like that's where General Grievous first showed up. That's where what's her face, the Sith witch or whatever.
Yep.
One thing I want to recommend if you are interested in Samurai Jack. Got to change the subject real quick because our producer keeps doing this, which I'm like, are there helicopters? I want to see one, but no, it means shut up and hurry up.
If a helicopter does that, it means it's going to crash it sideways.
They're flying. You can do that in Just Cause. Oh yeah, by the way, if you want to win a copy of Just Cause, email us in 50 words or less the dumbest thing you've done in 2015 and your console of choice.
What's that email, Max?
Up at noon at IGN.com.
One of them might be broken.
If you like Samurai Jack and you would like something to hold you over until Adult Swim brings back this show, check out Frank Miller's Ronin. It is a graphic novel done by the guy who first made Batman and Superman fight each other. It is beautiful. It is gorgeous. Check this out. Show it.
Show it.
Show the thing.
Please, thank you.
Yeah, so Frank Miller's Ronin, incredible American comic that draws very heavily from Japanese manga. It's this weird thing about a samurai getting flown to the future. Pretty sure it was a big influence on Samurai Jack. On that note, you know, you can check that out. And then, of course, we've got some other stuff we have to talk about.
That's right. We do the show for an hour every week, 15 minutes if you count the pre-show. We like to get in and out as quick as possible and get your day moving. But a lot of games don't have that ability. They are great and wonderful, but they stay too long, like a filthy house guest. What was that movie? Sinbad? Where he stays? The House Guest movie.
What was that movie, Sinbad?
What was that movie? House Guest? Oh yeah, House Guest, starring Sinbad. So anyway, let's talk about some great games that overstayed their welcomes with our good friend Marty Slevo, who we only want to bring on for a little while before
our
he
dirtiest
overstays
house
his.
guest ever.
The filthiest house guest.
Beyond!
What's
up, baby? How are
How's
you?
it going? It's going really
good
well.
today.
This is kind of broke.
You can't win that, although I know you've probably done a lot of embarrassing things this year.
I did a lot of bad boy moves this year.
Send us an email at upatnoon@ign.com and just get out of here.
I have a cool Hotmail account.
So let's talk about video. I'm sure you do. You have an iPhone 4, so that wouldn't surprise me.
So you have a room temperature account.
Let's talk about some games this year, or maybe even games in general, that have overstayed their welcome. And obviously, I'm talking about games that are awesome, that you're having the greatest time with, but then just stuck around a little too long.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like the older we get, the more free time becomes a commodity. It's like this thing that we don't have a lot of. And so, like, yeah, when we were in college and we were in high school, like 100 hours of Fallout and 200 hours of Witcher and Metal Gear all seem great. But now I like games that respect me.
Which, by the way, we're all pretty old men sitting here. None of us have kids or anything.
No.
Like, we don't really have a time. We work video game jobs. Like, there's video games on the desk right now. We don't really have an excuse, but still, time is valuable.
I have a drinking problem.
That's a big thing that we should talk about on a different show someday.
That's up at 1 p.m.
Up at 3 a.m.
Up at noon wasn't good enough. You didn't sleep more than that. So, what game would you say has overstayed its welcome this year the most?
Besides your drinking program.
Not well. So mine's not this year. Mine's what our little art behind us is. The one that came to mind immediately when Zach asked me this was Skyward Sword. You know, Skyward Sword is one of those games, like, I loved the opening, I love the art style, and I'm like, this is it. Once every generation, we get a meaty Zelda experience, and this is going to be something special. And then I played it, and then I started having to go back to the same worlds, and then I got to a point where I found all these things, and this real mean lady crushed them all and then sent them everywhere else in the world again. I'm like, I think I'm done with this.
There was a point about maybe 20 hours in a Skyward Sword where I was 45 minutes into a temple without knowing I actually was.
Yep.
Like you were just, you're going through the motions at that point. And you're right in that it ditched a lot of these sort of adventure and exploration aspects and doubled down on revisiting old areas over and over, which it's like, I'm not going to say cheap or lazy because I hate when those words get thrown at developers, but it just felt disingenuous to me as a big Zelda guy who loves exploring vast fields and canyons and stuff like that to have to keep going back to the same few spots.
Yeah, totally.
I felt that way about, and this is going to be tough for some people because this is one of the best games ever made, but Resident Evil 4, towards the very end of that game, became a weird military shooter.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, totally.
It was somewhere halfway through, flipping over to the second disc, it was just you in these canyons fighting these guys with turret guns and machine guns, and you're like, where's the survival horror?
Remember I started in a village and a cool man with a potato head.
I had put an eyeball on a wall.
Yeah.
Like, it was very Resident Evil to start.
We get this expectation that's kind of been set up by games as they've gotten older that you have to fight a certain number of enemies, you have to spend a certain amount of time doing a thing, and that really, you know, something that's maybe difficult the first time isn't difficult the second time, but if you do it 15 times, maybe it's a little bit tedious, just enough that it is sort of the illusion of difficulty.
Yeah.
I went back and replayed Uncharted 1 in the HD collection, Nathan Drake collection. That's a game that's like, it's not bad by any means. It was definitely, I'd say, pretty groundbreaking in terms of how it approached a lot of stuff.
It laid the foundations for what would become one of the best
and
series.
Uncharted 2 is miles beyond that. But the first one, it's very clear they spent, they spent a lot of time and money making these environments, and so I think they kind of felt the need to reuse them.
Yes.
And this is a very common trick that I think developers do, where they're like, we built this level, man, we spent a lot of time building that level. Let's have people go through it and then back through it.
That is a cardinal sin.
Which I feel like, well, not necessarily, because there's ways to handle that well. Like, I think Metroid Prime does it a lot. Probably a little too much sometimes. But I think the way they handle that, which never happens really in the Uncharted game, or the first one at least, is giving you a weapon that lets you access new areas. Tomb Raider's very good at that. It's sort of, hey, you're back in this area. You can shoot a grappling hook up here. Almost said rope. Up to the top, and
I mean, it is a rope.
It is a rope.
Not the ropes we talk about.
And climb up and get into a cave that you've never been into. Ropes will get you into caves, and sometimes you're already in one. And eventually, you can check out an area that you've never seen before or may never see again.
Yeah.
But some games don't do that. They just let you back in a big, vast area, and you just have to shoot 50 dudes, and then on the way out, shoot 50 more.
You guys play that Aliens Colonial Marines?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a game that was like 3 hours long and still managed to overstay its welcome.
Perfect example.
Well, dude, not even that. Like
Alien Isolation.
Alien Isolation was another one, which was like a 17-hour-long game, and everything I played from the demo was amazing and terrifying. And I'm sitting there with surround sound headphones on, and it's dark. And I don't mean the demo. I went and played it at an event. And I'm like, I can't wait to play this. And then someone told me, I think it was Ryan McCaffrey who was reviewing it. I'm like, how long did it take you to finish this game? He was like, 15, 16 hours. I'm like, that's ridiculous. That's more than every Alien movie combined. It's completely unnecessary. It should have been a 5-hour game, you know?
The one important thing to mention about Resident Evil 4 is that, a lot of the last act of the game is bloat. But at the end, you get to go on a jet ski at the president's daughter and make love to her.
Spoilers, you do not make love to her. That is not true. She wants to kiss and you say no because you're a good man.
What else are you going to do on a jet ski?
Jet ski?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good answer.
All right, I don't want to. Should we kick him off? I want to keep you around. Can we keep him around?
Keep you around.
All right, we're keeping you around. We're sticking around. We have a few minutes left here on the
obviously,
show.
games that overstay their welcome aren't necessarily bad games. I would say that Metal Gear Solid 5 is a prime example of a really, really good game that could have been a whole lot shorter. If they made it so that all of the story missions were kind of at the front of that game and you could beat the game but still have a ton of like bonus stuff on the side, that would be really cool. But instead, it's like a 90-hour experience.
There's also weird examples of like looking at movies. Alexander, the movie that Oliver Stone directed like 10 years ago, they released a director's cut that was 45 minutes shorter.
Oh yeah.
And so like the movie came to DVD and he was like, I made a big mistake, so this movie's now 2 hours and 10 minutes long.
That's
as opposed
awesome.
to 3 hours long.
You never hear that happening.
No.
It's always, especially like Lord of the Rings or something like that. If you watched all 3 of the director's cuts of those movies, you're a father with 3 kids.
It's got 16 additional minutes of Aragorn and Kate Winslet looking at each other. Kate Winslet
Winslet
is
was not even in that
in the
film.
film.
That's
She's
incredible.
she shows up through a portal.
All right, well, this
lost.
bit overstayed its welcome, just like the games
Yeah.
we're talking about. Patrick Quinones on Twitter says, Samurai Jack was one of the only cartoons shows my mom watched with me, and she was more into it than me, but she made it an awesome memory.
That's really cool. You
awesome.
got a cool
Yeah.
mom.
Did you guys ever watch cartoons with your parents?
My mom watched X-Men with me.
Really?
Yeah. She was like super down with X-Men. It was weird.
She was into it?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I remember when they had the Dark Phoenix saga or the Phoenix saga, and there was like this whole like mini series in the afternoon event. She like picked me up from school and she's like, let's go watch X-Men. Some crazy stuff is going down.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my mom-
that's really awesome.
My mom worked in a school, and so she sort of had to keep up with like this stuff, and so she used me as a litmus test. And so
Did
like,
she
we
still
watched Pokemon together.
Did she still do that where she like you go home for like the holidays or something and she's like, hey Marty, I got more Beyblades, and you're like, I don't know,
What are the kids into? Wu-Tang and whiskey.
I got you some Skylanders.
Wu-Tang is for the children, so
That's true.
Whiskey, however, is absolutely not.
Wow, what a bold stance you took there.
You can get censored versions of Wu-Tang. I don't think you can get a censored version of whiskey.
Do they have a Kids Bop version of Wu-Tang yet?
They should.
Probably. I feel like that's out there somewhere.
I'm down with
Something
that.
along those lines.
RZA, get at me. We'll make this happen.
Beautiful.
Or just, call me. I really want to pick your brain on some
Okay.
stuff.
All right.
Just
I'm
kidding.
a fan of the way you used kung fu and hip hop to create a synergy force in selling illegal narcotics.
Stop it. Stop it. Okay? All right. So, once again, very clearly, if you would like to win one of 6 copies of this fine new game, Just Cause 3, you can do that if you live in the United States. All you have to do is email upatnoon@ign.com, and in 50 words or less, tell us the dumbest thing you've done in 2015. And, of course, your platform of choice. We have
What if
3
they admit to
Xbox One
crimes?
copies and 3 PS4s.
to crimes?
That would be really, really weird
Don't
if
admit to a crime.
people admitted to crimes.
Ancient Kazan on Twitch, or Kazan, I don't know how to say that, says, my mom watches Family Guy with me and also once in a while South Park. She's a preschool teacher.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Zoker says, TGI Fridays Jack Daniel's steak poppers are probably okay for kids. You are not right in the head.
Is that Bill Zoker?
I think it is, and if
Probably.
it is, I can double down on what I was saying. You are really not right in the head. We love you, Bill. MXII3, how do you do that? 13
That's just a year.
says, I used to watch Samurai Jack, Dexter's Lab, and Cow and Chicken with my father. You guys remember Cow and Chicken?
Yeah.
Only 90s kids will remember Cow and Chicken.
One of my favorite 90s cartoons was Two Stupid Dogs.
Oh, yeah.
It totally filled...
That was Craig McCracken.
Yeah.
Who went on to do Powerpuff Girls and stuff. But
That's right.
That was his earlier thing. You can see that art style there.
You can call a bar and ask for Phil McCracken and Pat McGroin if you want to do a cool prank.
Don't call a bar, dude. Also, bars, like, no one answers phones at bars.
That's a really good point.
It works on The Simpsons.
Cow and Chicken, they had the same mom who was a human.
Yeah, we don't ask about that. That's weird. Okay.
What was the show? Didn't they have
There's
this,
a gritty prequel to
What
that
was the
that no
show
one
where
wants to see.
it was just legs from the waist down? Was that Cow
Muppet
and Chicken?
Babies?
No, they showed it. Wasn't that Cow and Chicken?
Probably Cow and Chicken.
Legs?
Anybody?
No, those Muppet Babies.
Was that Muppet? No,
Yeah.
no,
And
no,
the Cow
no,
and Chicken.
no,
And
they
Cow and Chicken. You
obviously-
never saw their repertourses.
Right, but wasn't there one where it did show them and it was just disembodied? It was just chopped off.
That's
at the top?
terrifying.
Wu-Tang Boomerang. What an awesome name. Hold on, I just gotta let that one sit for a second. Wu-Tang Boomerang says, does IGN sell Marty Sleva action figures? I want one.
No, we sell yarny Martys, and they're as you can see,
Yarnies?
Marty's a very yarny man. They're
Yeah.
all woven. They're done. They're
handcrafted.
yeah.
They're bespoke.
I think they sell a toy based on Joe Yowza from the special edition of Return of the Jedi, the guy that looks like That's you. That's what you look like.
I am well aware. That's,
Yeah, welcome to our show where we
Thanks
make
for letting
fun
me
of
stay.
Marty, what are you playing this weekend?
Woo! I'm finishing up Rise of the Tomb Raider. I mean, it's PSX. I'm
PSX.
I'm playing all sorts of stuff.
So you're gonna play stuff on the show floor, right?
Yeah, we got some secret appointments.
What
We're
are
gonna play
we?
some stuff.
What are we doing for PSX? Are we hanging out?
Yeah, we're gonna hang out.
You guys going to PSX?
Yeah, we're gonna be there.
You wouldn't give this to me on Beyond, but can I get one secret clue for the audience about a game you're excited for PSX? Just one word. It's not Yoshi.
It's not
Yoshi's
Yoshi.
not gonna be PSX.
The Mind.
That's 2 words, and thank you. The Mind. Okay,
It's
so
all gonna make sense.
you will use the Mind to play a video game on a PlayStation platform someday in the future, unlike all of the other games that you don't use your mind.
Crash Bandicoot.
Crash
Really
Bandicoot.
good.
That's right.
No, it's not. That's a terrible idea.
It's a fun edutainment game where you have to help Crash learn
Can't
math.
say that word.
Edutainment?
Yeah, stop saying it.
That is a bad word to say in 2015. We don't say that word anymore, do we?
No.
Edutainment was a word that was
Stop
thrown
it.
around a lot in the 80s and 90s. Edutainment.
Stop it.
You can learn and play video games at the same time if you don't have parents.
This is why Zach has an anxiety attack every week.
He's sighing.
Zach ate a walnut before the show, and he's apparently allergic, so he's got a weird mouth now. He's been trying to tell us things, but just a weird fart noise comes out. I think he's very sick.
Callum Rudd says cow and chicken showed the parents' top half while looking through a closet. That's the sentence I read at work.
All right. I don't know if that doesn't answer any questions, I guess.
All right.
So yeah, we've got more stuff coming up. We don't. Other people do. Ryan McCaffrey and Destin Legary. How do you say that?
You did it. You crushed it the
Legary?
second time.
Legary.
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 Leggy
Garrett.
Legary, the ladies call him.
Yeah.
Leggy Legary?
Destiny Legacy will be playing Rainbow Six Siege and the Uncharted 4 multiplayer beta. You can check them out right after this. Sometimes we actually do read what it says on the thing. Most of the time we don't. Once again, before we go, if you want to win one of 6 copies of this fine game, Just Cause 3, which you can tie a grappling hook to a deer and explode it, all you have to do is email us at upatnoon@ign.com, and in 50 words or less, tell us the dumbest thing you've done in 2015, and make sure you live in the United States, because there's no way they're going to let us ship this violent game out of this country.
And don't say that you watch this show. I know it's dumb, but we
Well,
did
hey,
it together, and it's all of our faults now. Anyway, Up at Noon is going to be awesome for the rest of the year. We have a few more episodes left. I want to tease a very special guest who's coming on towards the end of the year. Her name is Paige, and she works for a fun place called the WWE, where they let men and women beat the hell out of each other. And she's going to come on our show and talk about WWE 2K and awesome stuff. Big guest for us. It's going to be happening towards the end of the year. Also, our last episode of the year will be a very special Force Awakens spoiler show where Max and I are just going to geek out about it. So that is your homework before the 24th. Watch a little wrestling and watch The Force Awakens. You should be doing both of those things already. This was fun. I had a good time today.
This is good.
Congratulations.
I like doing the show. It's great. I get to hang out with my friends and we have a good time. And sometimes it's
cool
goofy
bear.
and stupid and goes off the rails, but you know, so does life. Anyway, go check out Destin and Ryan playing video games right now. You don't have to do anything. Just sit where you are. We'll see you next time. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.